switching
Yeah,
to Pride Month,
sure.
because this is why I'm reading your piece, because it's Pride Month, not just because of that, because your piece is incredible. And I was just thinking about this. So Black people, all the Black people I know have always balked that we have a month. And and of course, it's the shortest month of the year, which is insult to injury. Like,
Right.
one of my things on the DEIJ committee that I serve on at the independent school here in Los Angeles is to incorporate African American history into the year-round curriculum, right? So it's
Right.
not just that we focus on it for a month. I was just wondering, I was thinking about that with Pride Month and wondering if you had any thoughts about, yes, we are celebrating Pride Month and I'm so excited about it, but do you have any other thoughts about that, kind of along those lines?
Well, I do think that I mean, as a country, as a society in general, we're making some progress in acceptance, but I do think that we have so far to go, and it really bothers me, and I'm sure for you too. I'm sure for Black people, it's a similar thing where people say like, "Okay, already, like, why do we have to celebrate it?
Yes,
Like,
yes,
why can't we just like, let's just move on." Like, be who you are, but I don't need to hear about it all the time.
right.
Like I think people have the same thing when it comes to say racism. Like,
Yes,
okay, we get it, you're equal. Like, why do you have to always bring up
yeah,
every little microaggression,
right.
And it's
We
like,
had Obama, he was president. We're done.
yeah, you're good. Stop already. Like,
Yeah.
so I think that it's uh, not enough. Like,
Hmm.
I don't think it's enough to go, okay, there you go. You had a month. Like, I think it's about a constant education and teaching people all the time about acceptance and until it's just a normalized thing.
Yeah.
That it's still not normalized. That's why we have to like bring it up all the time. That's why people have to have a month. It's because people are still oppressed. So we
Yes.
have to remind them that like, hey, we're here and it's normal. I'm talking about being pride, not being Black.
Yeah. No, no, no. I know exactly what you're saying. And do you feel like it's more normalized, like where you and I live in the Los Angeles area and in New York, and then maybe like say Seattle or obviously San Francisco, Chicago. But I'm thinking about those areas, the Midwest, the South, where maybe these conversations aren't happening in the same way.
A
I
hundred
think,
percent.
yeah,
I think that what's really sad, and then my husband and I, when you read this piece, people will know what we're talking about. But um, this is about having a child in the LGBTQ plus community. And I think it's really scary and kind of sad that we couldn't move. Not that we
yeah,
need to, but and I'm in Facebook groups with a lot of parents dealing with the same thing. And there's so few places that you really can live.
yeah.
And
And be relatively free, right?
yes, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
right now, as far as transgender rights, they are really, I don't want to say cracking down because that's absolutely the wrong term, but they're creating all this legislation around like policing what doctors can do, medical treatment for transgender people. And it's really scary and absolutely going to have tragic results.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
cannot believe that with all the progress we've made in, 2021, that this is what we're dealing with, like backward ass counties and states trying to say no, you can't have medical care.
Yeah,
No, no to trans medical care. It's really scary. I mean, we're talking about people that are going to lose their lives over it,
absolutely.
and
And
doctors that are going to have to break the law to treat their
yes,
patients.
yes, just like the abortion law.
Exactly, 100%.
It's never going to stop it. It's just
No.
going to make it more dangerous and create these incredibly tragic, complicated scenarios that didn't have to exist
Yeah.
otherwise.
One thing that I would love to bring up that's not in the piece is just the amount of people that have this false narrative about how it's just like being trans is some kind of a craze or like a trend,
Yeah.
or people see it on TikTok, or it's because of anime. Like, this is not true. It's just that because it's been normalized in some art forms, more people are able to come forward and have the bravery to go, oh, that's a thing. Oh, I feel that way. I can live that way.
Mhm.
And that's what it's all about. Like that's how it happened for my kid, which is in my story,
Yes.
is seeing it, somebody else living their truth inspires people to live their truth. It doesn't mean that nobody in their right mind is like, oh, that seems like a fun way to live life. I think
Right.
I'll just be a different gender.
Yes.
That's just not a thing.
Yeah.
Just like I could say the same thing about, being gay. It's like
Mhm.
no one goes, "Oh, I see a bunch of gay people, so that seems trendy." So,
Right.
if you're straight, then you don't if you're a straight man, chances are you don't want to kiss another guy. You don't
Right.
want to have
Right.
sex with another guy. And no matter how much it's normalized, if a bunch of
Yeah.
people were doing it, you wouldn't be like, "Oh, sweet. I think I'll do that
Mhm.
because it's trendy." If
Right.
people just think about it that way, you're not going to go against who you are because something's trendy.
Yeah. And
But
I was listening to somebody, a conservative woman. I think she was from London, but she was in the UK, talking about
JK
exactly the
Rowling,
opposite. Hmm?
JK Rowling,
No, it wasn't. She's a she does, she does talk. She does like TED Talks and
right?
anyway, TED style talks. But she was talking about the social contagion, which is exactly what you're talking about,
Right,
and
right.
how she believes that teenage girls are particularly susceptible and easily influenced, right? When these things come up, then they all do want to do it, and it is a trend and it is a
I
fad,
think she wrote this book that is makes me really. It's probably the same person who wrote this
probably.
book that I can't
Yeah,
remember what it's called, but that's what the book is.
yeah,
Ugh,
yeah. It's maddening, isn't it?
it's ridiculous. It's
Yeah,
absolutely ridiculous.
yeah. I agree. I agree. I have to know what's going on out there just because I do.
Right.
If I pay too much attention to it, I get really angry and feel helpless.
Yeah, so do I.
But I need to know what's going on because it's every time they come for any marginalized community, they're coming for me too. It's just the way that it is.
Yeah.
It's we have to defend each other. We have to like be in solidarity, because when people from the dominant culture come for us, they always use the same language. They use the same arguments and defend themselves the same way. So I'm always paying attention to that. And I'm wrapping this around to your piece, which is called The Definition of Brave. I love it so much, so much. I read it and I
Oh.
started. Scott's, my producer, so he's on the boards while I'm reading, and I hear him choke up.
Oh.
But I can't see him. His back is to me, and he choked up at the same moment that I did. I don't know if that stayed in the piece or if they edited it out. We'll see. But
Oh.
it's really beautiful. I thank you so much for sharing it with me. I
Of
really
course.
appreciate it.
Thank you for reading it. I hope that, maybe people see themselves or their kid or,
Yeah,
it helps people in some way understand.
absolutely. Stefanie Wilder-Taylor, thank you, thank you, thank you. Until 5 years ago, my 13-year-old son Xander was my daughter Matilda. Since he made the transition to living as a boy, a lot of people have congratulated me and my husband Jon on being amazing parents for allowing our child to be who he is. And yeah, we're amazing parents, but not for that. That implies we could choose to not allow it. That would be like not allowing your kid to be left-handed. You could force your kid to write with their right hand all day long. But even if it were somehow legible, that kid's still a lefty. By the way, Xander's also left-handed. So yeah, we're accepting, but the truth is we didn't have a choice. For a long time, I thought Xander was just gender nonconforming, a term I found by Googling the shit out of, help my daughter only wants to dress like a boy.